Joining us now, ESPN Hockey Color Commentator, of course, one half of Ray and Greg's Hockey Podcast, Mr. Raymond Ferraro. How you doing?
Good, other than smashing my head on the top of a kitchen cupboard. Well, the bottom of a kitchen cupboard today. I wouldn't get to the top. And after some repairs, stopping the bleeding, I felt like the cut guy, like jamming stuff at the top of my head. Because I got to also curate this lovely flow. Because I wouldn't...
Surprised there wasn't more protection up there, but did you see
It was a direct hit, Blake. It was a direct hit.
Did you see the trainer get the puck to the eye the other day?
Oh, no, really?
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that doesn't happen like every single night in the NHL, that a coach or a trainer doesn't go down from a straight puck. Mm-hmm. I'm amazed.
Our assistant coach in Atlanta, Jay Leach, got hit. Now, not surprisingly, our defense wasn't very good, but he got hit with a clearing shot 3 times in a month. So whenever somebody would come around the back of the net, I would start yelling, incoming. And it was amazing. It would hit the glass and you'd hear this, oof. It would get him in the ribs. But you're right. It's like there's nowhere for them to go back there.
No. No.
Well, and in the case of Travis Hamonic, former Canuck, friendly fire from Thomas Chabot.
How do you find out there's a guy sitting beside you? Swing your stick and find out, I guess.
So rare.
Could you imagine in that moment how terrible Chabot felt? I mean, Hamonic's in pain, and he clearly doesn't, he's lost his senses. He doesn't even know he's sitting there. And, oh, man, I don't know what he had to I don't know what he had to buy him to make up, but it better be a good one.
Keith Ballard and Vaucoon, was it? Who was it in Florida?
He should have got a major for that.
That was 5. 5 in a game. Ray, we're talking about a Bo Horvat trade this week, and I see what Darren Gregor has reported now on Insider Trading. I see Pierre LeBrun in The Athletic talking about how the Canucks may need to make a hockey trade here, a center or a right shot defenseman, in part because that may be preferable to them, but also in part because there's just no cap space out there to make the picks and prospects deals that you typically see for a team that's selling.
You know what, Matt? I see the I see the reality of that type of trade more than a futures trade, just for what you outlined. And the team, whoever the acquiring team might be, you're not getting their 5th defenseman. You're getting someone they don't want to give up, just as the Canucks don't want to give up Bo Horvat. You get into, it's the weirdest deal. I mean, it's not like the Chicago deals that likely will happen with Kane and Taves, where it's a different time and we've got to move on and all that sort of stuff. The team that you're going to get a player back from, I would assume you're looking at a significant player. You're not, or you're getting a player and a higher pick to it. Like, there's 2 ways to go, but you're right. Cash, unless the trade's with Chicago or Arizona, which I don't know why it would be, but if it is, they're the only teams with any cap space. Otherwise, money's got to come back.
Yep. No, of the contenders, so very few have cap space, and and some have questions about them. Like Minnesota has all the dead money coming, so do they want to get in there? Detroit, are they really going to push this year, or they're just going to let the chips fall? So, yeah, you wonder what the field for Horvat's going to look like.
There's one other complication to that, Matt. I think people have to take into consideration is that Jonathan Taves and Ryan O'Reilly are out there too. And if St. Louis decides that O'Reilly, that they're not in it this year, that further complicates centermen that would be, as it stands, rentals in the market.
We'll get back to the trade possibilities in a second, but just on that front, because we're trying to decide whether or not people should take seriously this Canuck push here with 4 wins in 5 games. Will they have to battle with the Blues for a playoff spot theoretically? Do you see the Blues finding themselves again?
I do. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to watch last night. They're down 3-1. They come back. They score a shorthanded goal in the last 30 seconds somehow. The Oilers kind of take a little nap, and then they win in overtime, or rather in the shootout. I did their game on Sunday, and they played pretty well. I'm more surprised they're in this boat than if they get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that I would say that. But when I think of the Canucks, I mean, like, what did people really think they were going to be this year?
Yeah.
Yes, except it's almost like when you say draft and develop, everybody's in for that. But really what they're in for is draft, and they don't want to wait for the development. So it's easy at the start of the year to say, oh, I think this team will be a bubble team. Well, bubble teams mean you win 4 out of 5, and then you lose 6 out of 8, and then you win 6 out of 9 and lose 2 in a row. Like, that makes you a bubble team. Look at the teams that are not bubble teams. So New Jersey was, 16-3-3 out of the gate. Boston's won 14 out of 15 at home. Like, Vegas has put together a long run. Like, teams that are really legit contenders, they put on runs. Pittsburgh's, 12-1-1 all of a sudden. Yeah. I thought they couldn't play. No. But, like, legit teams that have real aspirations can put together runs that separate them from the pack.
I think we have the right guy here to ask, but Dries, Garland, and Högalnder, 5'9", 5'9", and 5'10". Can that line work in today's NHL, Ray?
Short term, sure.
No pun intended.
Yes. You have to be at the very top of your game, speed, quickness, support-wise, to be able to be an effective line at that size across the board. Every once in a while you make a great play and there's a 6'3" defenseman standing in the way, and you don't have a chance. And then if your support is 5'9" as well, and then his partner comes over at 6'2", you're finished. The play's over. And so it is really hard to be a really effective player when you're smaller. You need the balance and the strength of somebody beside you. My best years and again, I can only talk about, what I know best is my personal experiences, but my best years were when I had a really strong, preferably right winger, but a really strong right winger with me. I just felt like the puck went into the corner and I could support it. But if me had to go in to win the battle against a 6'4" defenseman, you lose. You just physically, you just can't win that battle enough.
But you could tease them mercilessly 3 Rays to the point where they just give you the puck because they want you to go away.
I wondered why they all had like those earplugs in that the construction workers wear. Like, why would they do that? I don't get it.
Normally, there would be some push from below in the AHL because the Abbey Canucks are basically a facsimile of the NHL Canucks. They're scoring a ton of goals. So normally the forwards up here would be nervous, but they're doing that too. Is anybody on this team right now, do you think, worried about Vasily Podkolzin pushing up from the back or Lane Peterson or any of the like?
I don't think so, because that's not the issue.
That's just not the issue, yeah.
The most frustrating part for a guy in the American League is looking at the depth chart in front of you and seeing that that's all kind of fine.
Yeah.
Like that all kind of works right now. I mean, You can say, like that was Garland's first goal in a while, right? And you could say, he's not scoring, but they can't call up somebody to replace Garland. He makes $4.5 million.
Yeah, still an NHL player. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And where are you going to fit the dollars?
Yeah.
So you really, the call ups that make an impact are fewer and far between in season than ever. And I hate we have to talk so much about the cap, but really the cap is the overriding driver of everything you do about building a team.
That's 100%, particularly this year with so few playing with any kind of cap space. Short and sweet today. Again, no pun intended. Thank you, Ray. We'll catch up next week.
Talk to you later.